because of the recency bias that ChatGPT in particular has towards fresher, newer content. The rate that you have to be creating that in order to offset the freshness required is quite extreme now.
We've got all sorts of factors to consider. As more and more users flock to AI, there's growing usage and more buyer attention has drifted there. That's a factor that can push up, the numbers that we see and the results that we see. And our content strategy for it has to evolve.
Mm-hmm. Just a quick one before we get into the episode, because I've got an offer that I'm sure all of you will be interested in. AEO is something that every B2B marketing team is trying to figure out right now, and most just don't know where to start. But at Blend, we're offering a full AEO analysis of your brand's AI visibility, and we'll walk you through exactly what we found and what to do about it. From full prompt analysis against your competitors to a citation analysis, where we'll look at different content types and how you're being cited for those and mentioned in those, and what you can actually do to be mentioned and cited much more for your brand, and what content you should create going forwards, and how you comprise that strategy really. We will drop a note in the description of this episode in the show notes, and you can go over there, request your free AEO audit, and we will deliver that to you. Hi everyone, welcome back to Demand Decoded. Dan here with you today, joined by Phil in the studio. In today's episode, we're actually taking a bit of a trip down memory lane into an episode we shot last year, which was our 3 biggest channel predictions for 2026. And, we spoke about what we were really betting on, what we were really excited for. And now we're in July 2026. We're over halfway through the year. We just want to reflect on those and react to what we said and if that's actually come true.
Yeah, exactly. We weren't trying to identify trends in a bit of, lightweight content. We were trying to share what we were going to be betting ourselves on for the coming year. And that's the marketing planning process in a nutshell, really. Looking back at what you elected to do, and the reasons you did so, and evaluate performance against where you are trying to head. And although most marketing plans will take place on an annual basis, I think the 6-month mark is an excellent time to take a look and take stock. There are no rules against it, and there's no point in waiting if you've got data that can really help you inform, and improve your strategy going forward.
Yeah. Before we get into the podcast today, here's a quick word from our sponsors, HubSpot. Most businesses think they know their customers. They have the data, the records, the history, but it's scattered across 3 teams and 4 systems, which means nobody can actually use it. HubSpot connects it all. Every interaction, every support ticket, every conversation into one platform every team can work from. So when sales talk to a customer, marketing already know the full story. And when you know more, you grow more. Check out HubSpot.com, the agentic customer platform for growing businesses. All right, well, let's get into it and start with what we said for number 3, our third channel choice, in reverse order. And we said events. Pretty broad stroke when it comes to what we said. But yeah, I stand by this firmly, that events have been brilliant for us this year, for a lot of marketing leaders that I speak to this year. They also made the same bet that buyers are wanting more and more human engagement, more connection. We're actually starting to learn more and more from engaging with other people. A lot of people that I speak to, like in communities and stuff, there's just a thread earlier actually on podcasting, which broke my heart. Like some people saying that they don't listen to podcasts anymore.
I see.
And it came from somebody asking for recommendations for podcasts. So there is still great demand out there for that medium, but people's attention just shifts, and that's totally fine over time. I know in my own consumption habits, I used to be an absolute podcast addict. Now, I still listen to quite a lot of podcasts, don't get me wrong, but not nowhere near as many as I used to.
Right.
But events just always have that engagement, that authentic human layer that people just crave. And well, I'll save that there because I want to get into the formats that have worked this year.
Yeah, broadly speaking, we saw events and predicted that events would, were resurging and would have a resurgence in the face of other shifts that were taking place on the channels that had dominated B2B buying, because of what you've said, which is we desire that authenticity, that human connection and the cut through the noise that's increasing on the channels we're on now. As you say, those channels are far from done. There's a lot of potential there, but following a period of time where event marketing probably wasn't top of the list for the vast majority of us, the dawn of AI, changes to user behavior started to show potential again to get face to face with people in real life, virtual too. And events broadly got our attention and marketers' attention. But as you said at the start, events is a broad term, and there's an awful lot of thinking to do beneath that to work out your strategy for events.
The main thing with events is audience, because the audience drives the quality of the event, basically. So during my time at Blend, we've done quite a lot of events actually, from trade shows to hosting our own like industry event with speakers to more intimate style dinners, and that is really the one that we've been focused on this year. Those smaller curated dinners. A lot of people do breakfast these days, lunches, but it's a smaller, more intimate style event where you are handpicking, I don't know, anywhere between 10 and 20 people, could be less, probably not going to be more, and they are the right fit, the right audience, going to be highly engaged. You'll hopefully learn something from them too. They'll become part of this like small community that will hopefully carry on after the event, just engage in great conversation actually. But the important thing is that they are people that are probably going to be the right person to talk to about the problem that you're trying to help them solve. For us, like we still don't go into any of those events with a super sales mindset at all. Like we are just talking about the things that we are passionate about and enjoy doing. But the main thing is, if you go to a trade show, okay, you get a prospectus before the show and you understand here's the percentage of this industry, this job seniority, this job title that are actually attending the event, but you don't know what their pain points are. You don't know what like technology they're using. You don't know their company. Like there's so much you don't know about the audience, and the actual cost for those events is just like becoming more and more eye-watering. It only goes up and up and up by tens of thousands every single year for the same footprint that you had the year before. Similarly, with like broader industry events that you might put on yourself, they can be great, but if you're attracting a larger audience, so let's say you're doing a full day event and you've got some speakers and you want 500 people there, even like 100 people there, it's going to be really, really hard to get the right 100 people there. And let's say you do, how are you going to have a conversation, a meaningful, deep conversation with 100 people in a day? Well, you're not. And then it's reliant on really good follow-up process, people actually like reacting, engaging with you after the event. But like curated dinners, having put on a few, attended a few, the level of conversation that you can get, the connection you can build, just far outweighs any event, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a nuance to be considered, or a caveat, which is it's all dependent on who you are and who you sell to, right? So, a couple of things. I mean, we've been really, really quite pleased with the sort of performance and the effectiveness of all the event types that we've run, from exhibitions through to sort of our own owned sort of conferences, through to the small stuff and virtual. Really pleased with the ability to generate good content, generate good conversation, get good people present, and so on and so forth. So happy across the board. But in our case, as predominantly a services business, a big exhibition is completely brand, right? It's a high cost brand exercise because the nature of it, the size of the audience, how little you know about them, how few of them you can meaningfully contact and engage with, can still be very valuable.
Yeah.
Could be a very different proposition if you're a product business. Let's be clear that this isn't one size fits all at all. But in our case, that's a pretty sizable brand investment. Work your way down the sort of the size spectrum to the smaller, executive dinner events we've been running successfully, and it's much more brand and demand. You are able to curate exactly the sort of person that you have there, create really quality conversations with them, and if they have need, if they are ready, then they can act on it and have done so. Yeah. And you've got a good cohort of people taking your brand away from that experience into the market. So that's, for our services focus, that has shown itself to be really sound strategy. And I think for services businesses, it's worth considering that approach. If you're selling a product and you're at a different scale and maturity of business, then the answers to these questions might be different, but you have to ask yourself the same questions.
Yeah, it's where do I get the best ROI?
What outcome do I want from it?
Yeah.
And how do I best achieve that outcome?
Yeah, because like you say, it's two very different metrics almost that you would measure these things on. A big industry event will earn more attention from a broader audience that could trickle down into lots of other channels becoming more effective as your brand becomes more memorable and people start to notice you in other places as a result of seeing you at an event.
Yeah.
It's probably easier to directly look at, like meetings and pipeline off the back of something smaller and more curated.
Indeed. And that's a long lasting debate around like big event expenses. They've often been measured on something that is pretty much widely understood to be not the best measurement. Pipeline, business cards collected, or so on. And yet the events still take place and the businesses still exhibit. But if they were thinking about it differently in terms of how much of their audience could they expose themselves to, touch, reach, without having that kind of direct response KPI, they might view it very differently and much more positively.
Yeah. One thing I would say after speaking to some marketing leaders that stopped events altogether after COVID, it's like, don't be afraid to not go because you've always gone. Like, that's not right. That's not the right answer. If we're asking should we go next year, and the answer is because we've always done it, that's not the reason.
You need a better answer than that. Yeah, absolutely. You also talked about what you'd seen in the industry, right? With the increase of roles in the space.
Yeah. So
I think it's fascinating.
In some communities that I'm part of, the amount of people looking for recommendations for like event freelancers, like field marketers, people that can really like work an audience, put on events, has definitely gone up. And I think that's a reflection of the demand of the amount of events being put on. Actually, so when we did our last growth table, I invited one guy and he said, I'd love to come down, like it sounds great, but I've already committed to another event. And by the way, I've been invited to 7 events on this exact day.
Isn't that mad? Yeah.
So I was a bit like, wow, like maybe I've chosen the wrong week here to start with, but also that's a reflection of the amount of events going on. And maybe that makes me slightly worried in that, is this going to become a really saturated thing? But that's why I come back to the audience and the relevance and making sure that's what people want when they come to an event, especially a dinner.
Your event should be the most attractive event to the right person. So even in a situation where there are others, like some of the time it'll be yours they choose to go to, and that will be because there's a fit between what you offer and what they need. So I think you're right about audience is everything in this sense. And I think as well, just the idea that 10 people in a room can be a very effective event marketing strategy is, for some, won't be the first sort of thing that comes to mind.
No.
The word events conjures up different images, and often attendee numbers is sort of a focal point.
Yeah.
But it's about quality. It's actually about quality and relevance and the value you can bring to one another in the event. Because, of course, it's a two-way exchange, actually.
Yeah.
You need to create
Yes.
mutual sort of give and get in terms of information and benefit, because that's what produces the best impact overall. Something memorable for them that they go away and talk about and comment positively on social, recommend other people attend, and everything you get out of it as well.
If you're enjoying this show, let me recommend another one from the HubSpot podcast network, Content is Profit, hosted by brothers Louis and Fonzie Camejo. What I love about this one is how practical it is. Louis and Fonzie break down exactly how to turn your content into real revenue. The frameworks, the strategies, the tactics, with guests who've actually done it. In one episode, Louis talks about finally pushing for real volume, a daily podcast, 10 clips a day. If you're looking to grow content but can't get past that output bottleneck, this is the AI system that has solved it for him. Listen to Content is Profit wherever you get your podcasts. Right now, every B2B marketing team is trying to figure out AEO, where they stand, whether it matters for them, and what they're supposed to actually do about it. The best place to start is knowing where you stand. We're offering a full AEO analysis of your brand's visibility across AI search engines, how often you're mentioned, what you're being cited for, and how your competitors are showing up. Then we'll walk you through the findings on a call with clear next steps. And we're doing all of this for free. You can request your analysis in the show notes below. All right, so that's events.
Mm-hmm.
At our number 2 in the list, we had YouTube.
Right.
And so YouTube is an interesting one. We've put more dedicated focus into YouTube this year, because remember, like, these are the 3 channels that we felt strongly about, that we were going to be doubling down on this year. So yeah, our YouTube strategy evolved. Like, we split out channels because we used to have everything bolted into one. We've now got our Demand Decoded YouTube channel, which we don't create specific video for YouTube, like it's repurposed podcast basically. But then we have our blend channel, which we do create specific video for YouTube on there. And I suppose YouTube has become one of our biggest sources of high intent leads this year. I think it's 3rd right now. But it's consistent, and like, people are telling us in self-reported attribution that I found you on this video, like your lead object video on HubSpot. Like, loads of people inquire and say, oh, like, Phil was great in this video. Like, oh yeah, we want to
Thank you very much.
We want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So really, really positive in terms of
kind of proven effectiveness.
Yes, like volume. Where I am seeing differences in YouTube compared to other channels is, for us, the quality and fit of those buyers coming to us, because of the nature, I think, of, and this is partly maybe on our strategy as well, and the kinds of videos we're creating, because like our blend channel, for example, we created quite a lot of HubSpot videos that solve particular problems closely related to what we do, but they are quite specific around a particular use case or solving a particular pain. And because of that, people are coming to us to solve this very particular problem with small budgets to do that, quite rightly, because they're only trying to solve something very small. But just the way that our engagements work, it's not the right fit.
That's interesting, isn't it? The direct demand that's being captured through that strategy on that channel isn't quite what we would want it to be necessarily, despite the fact that there's been a lot of positive progress and
in terms of like
confidence,
views. I mean, these are metrics that I wouldn't like hang my hat on, because what is important is like the output. But yeah, in terms of like views, engagement, everything like that, very, very positive. It's just there are better channels at getting us higher quality, better fit leads right now for YouTube. But I think what this year so far has proven is that if you do make the right kind of content, it is possible to make YouTube work really well for B2B.
Yeah.
And it's not a channel that we're going to be giving up on anytime soon. I think it's just a reflection of perhaps the style of content we've been creating and the kind of video that we might choose to create in the future that's like solves the bigger problem, like gets people a bit more engaged, like we do on the podcast, really. And we might put some more focus there then instead.
Right. It's so YouTube's reach is real, right? That
Exactly.
it's a massive discovery channel that just is very, very effective. And of course, it helps you to sort of be found and seen not just in YouTube search, but across a variety of mediums that buyers are using more and more. So it's got that reach, it's got that sort of discovery value. Okay, we've got to look again or ask ourselves, who's our audience for this? What is the ideal customer that we want to try and attract? And what is the YouTube content that will result in them coming through and self-reporting YouTube as the channel of discovery, and seeing whether we can refine and improve that. The reality being that there's also that brand and demand, split as well, which is it might not. You can discuss whether YouTube is a demand capture channel for you at all, even though it does capture some demand. That may or may not be its use in the strategy if it enables us to reach and get our brand and our opinion and our point of view out to the right audience. So definitely worth thinking about who's seeing it and what will resonate with them, and that might change it. That will change our video content strategy quite directly, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at how we earn attention and how we get brand awareness, almost, there are multiple metrics to look at in that space. Like if we're looking at website traffic, the amount of people actually coming to us, I don't know anyone's website traffic that's going up right now. Very few. But
I know a few, but yeah.
It's broadly speaking, website traffic is down. But we can offset the attention that we earn from website traffic, the content that people consume, with YouTube. Like it's a fantastic medium for growing an audience that are highly engaged with your brand and that are learning from you. And I agree, like YouTube isn't a demand capture channel, but self-reported attribution is designed to tell you where someone heard about you.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, it's got flaws, but it's a good way to measure if it's having an impact on the complete buyer journey, I suppose.
And who's it having that impact on? Which is really that's so valuable to see, isn't it? Like that, and that's the strength of self-reported attribution. You can now say, well, we're reaching people, we're affecting people, but it's these people, or these opportunities. Let's separate that out. So that can we refine that to bring a change here, while we still retain that as the medium of discovery.
So to round out YouTube, I think it's still going to be a channel that we focus strongly on. I just think it's harder, to be honest. I think it's harder to get right. It's less proven. There's less documented resource and studies on how to get it right. It requires on so many dependencies, like to actually make it work. It's not just one person writing a blog and hitting publish. It's like there's so many things that go into a fantastic YouTube video. The variables are incredible. So it's a really hard one to figure out. It's a bet that we placed, are still placing, and are just still trucking along, figuring it out, basically.
I think so. Strong one.
All right. So number one, of course, we've got AEO.
The big AEO.
Yeah, we set out last year, at the start of last year, with a mindset to really prove out an approach that worked for AEO. And we're still working on it. Everyone's still working on it. It is a channel that is absolutely essential to every single B2B marketing strategy right now. It's one that, we just have to absolutely get right. And I think July will be you know, how many days we got left? We got 9 days left of July, and I think it's going to be our first ever month where our high intent leads from AI search overtake Google.
Right, wow.
More leads from AI search than traditional search.
There we
We're
go.
not there yet, but like it's looking like it will be that way.
Yeah, I mean, not a surprise, right? It's what we expected. It's why we prioritized it. But nevertheless, it's fascinating to watch, you know, such a shift manifest.
Yeah.
And AEO is still a new, fascinating area, right? Where, like you say, we're far from done on that. We've got all sorts of factors to consider. You know, as more and more users flock to AI, you know, there's growing usage and more buyer attention has drifted there. That's a factor that can push up, you know, the numbers that we see and the results that we see, and our content strategy for it has to evolve because the results that people are seeing in AI search are evolving all the time too. So what's it look like on the ground in terms of where have we seen, you know, success? Where have we got question marks? And what sort of changes are either have happened or do we suspect might be happening?
Yeah. So, you know, to give some like tactical, actionable things, our primary content strategy to start with was tons of Listicle content. Tons and tons of Listicle articles that answer the direct question that buyers could be asking: who's the best for this? You know, what's the best vendor for this?
Yeah,
Who
very
should
specific.
we use here? You know, we were absolutely smashing that out. And we still create that content to a certain extent, but that I believe is becoming less and less predictable. As I mean, everyone's doing that now. Like, absolutely everyone is doing it, and because of the recency bias that ChatGPT in particular has towards fresher, newer content, the rate that you have to be creating that in order to offset the freshness required is quite extreme now.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about a couple of other, still persisting with that in more like niche relevant areas that's going to bring us quality over quantity.
Yeah, whether competition's lower.
Exactly.
Whether,
yeah. Other areas I'm thinking about is Asia Frost, who we've had on this podcast, who we're speaking with at Unbound, can't wait for that, was on Siege Media's show, which is a great podcast, by the way. And she was talking about HubSpot's newer, updated approach for AEO, where they also produce quite a lot of listicle content and things. But they're now starting to look at, okay, how can we create top of funnel content that's going to also benefit us in terms of like bottom of the funnel AEO and still get us recommendations.
Interesting.
So this is all about, and this is now something we're testing, which I'm really looking forward to sharing the results on this podcast. Very essentially cool. How do we start to educate the market whilst looping in our brand at the same time? So let's say for HubSpot, it's going to be email marketing is one of the tools that they can provide. So if somebody's going to ChatGPT and they're asking questions like, how do I create the best email marketing, the best email for this particular audience? Well, ChatGPT should say, okay, maybe lay it out in this way. Like, here's what should go as the hook. Here's what to put as the offer. And by the way, like, and HubSpot can help you do this type thing, because in HubSpot's content, in every single section of that blog, it could be 10 times, it could be 20 times, they are looping. They're looping that point back to the product.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So whereas like before, do you know, like creating blog content, informational blog content, you'd almost like wince when you put in your brand. It's like, oh yeah, and you know, Asana can help you do this. It's like, oh, that's so cringe. We shouldn't be promoting ourselves in this informational blog. I'd just go to HubSpot's blog and read some of them, because it's literally like every other paragraph they are saying, and HubSpot can help do this X, Y, Z.
Right.
So we're implementing a similar framework, and yeah, it's early days on that, but it's something I'm trying out to capture buyers earlier in the process and just get away really from the amount of competition, like on these really, really saturated listicle articles.
That is so interesting. That move to niche informational content. It's informational the way it always has been, but with specificity to it, using AI to be able to create content at that sort of scale. Whereas
Yeah.
if you were blogging the old-fashioned way, you would only ever be able to create one piece that was supposed to appeal to like all.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And the point about featuring the product, the brand, in every passage is, it's just one of those things that is, I love it when the thinking, particularly that HubSpot do, translates into something that is really elegant like that. Back in the SEO days, HubSpot themselves used the tag keyword on their blog posts to link to their pillar page on the subject. So neat, so powerful, and so simple. And a lot of the times, marketers would look for a lot more complicated solution to that problem, right? Other than just use the exact keyword that you want that page to rank for. And we're back again, right? Which is, it's what the AI search process rewards is that passage-wise creation with your brand inside.
Because we've got to think about, how does AI read content? It doesn't read a whole page. Like it reads passage by passage and uses that passage within the answer for the recommendation. So if you're thinking, right, if I create this piece of content and then recommend my brand right at the end, AI is probably not getting to the end if it has the answer at the top. Like you have to pair the answer with your brand in the same passage of information. Because that's the retrieval process.
It's not going to pull you through from the idea that you can sort of cross-reference one passage to the other is not successful anymore.
And not well, I mean, that might change. Like if I'm thinking of like predictions for a year or two from now, I think the retrieval process of information will change for large language models. I think it has to change because it can become quite easy to game this stuff.
Does appear to be.
If I ask for recommendations for a particular product, I've lost a bit of trust. Like I don't mind it necessarily if I've given it so much context where it can't go wrong. Or like I then question the vendors in the next message and say, can they really do this thing like for my business, this very particular thing? I think unless you do that and you take an answer at face value, it can be hit or miss.
Yeah, well, we'll have to keep a close eye on that because these sort of waves are happening faster and faster, right? And the changes come quicker each time. But nevertheless, we have to keep moving, right? We always said that we suspected that our first strategy for improving visibility and mentions wouldn't be a forever approach. We have to keep moving with it. And so I think it's really important that businesses are not only prioritizing AEO, but that they've got, tooling that lets them monitor what they're seeing, and they have and they're constantly refreshing their understanding of the content that is being used, synthesized, and also update their thinking about prompts that they want to be found for. As you expand out, ideally we'd all start narrow and then build out from there.
So the point on measurement is a really interesting one because AEO is just so hard to measure. And even if you're doing AEO and performance is improving in terms of like brand visibility and MQLs leads from AI search, it still might not be a reflection of your strategy. This is the conversation that you got involved. Was it last week? I was having this conversation with someone in the office and Phil's like, oh, that's an interesting one. And we were chatting about it for a bit. We have to probably like plot graphs, which essentially compare the rate of adoption of AI tools and our performance against it, because we need to make sure that what we're doing is actually having an impact and it's not just a result of buyer behavior and channel behavior shifting towards AI search.
It's
really tricky.
A rising tide lifts all ships, right? But you want to be rising faster than the tide, growing your share as opposed to just seeing an increase that's driven by adoption
Yeah.
being boosted up. Yeah, that's tricky, isn't it? To establish, to what degree your strategy is having an impact. But we feel confident, right, that the content that's designed for LLMs, for AI search, and for its users has a positive impact.
Well, here's the other thing. So I shared something in the strategy chat as well. I connected HubSpot finally to Claude MCP. I don't know what I've been doing in my life for so long, to help me with some reporting, and it is absolutely fascinating. So the first thing I did was I wanted to look at our high intent leads that said that they came from AI search. They heard about us first in ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whatever it may be.
Yes.
And I asked Claude/HubSpot to find out all of the pages that they'd visited in their journey before converting. And there was a lot of data missing because people don't accept cookies.
Yeah.
But, within that, our comparison best of listicle content was the third highest content type on contacts that were influenced by it. So that's just one thing that you could potentially do to actually see, is our content actually being viewed by buyers? Because I've seen people talking about looking at bot visits, which is okay because it shows if the large language model is finding your content. But I'm more interested if the right buyer is finding our content, to be honest.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. And if that content is showing up in the visits that are tracked, that's a signal, right? Good signal to go upon. So really, really positive that those pieces of content are in there.
Yeah. So that's one that you could do. If you're using HubSpot, connect it with Claude, by the way, and just ask it. For our whatever you call a demo request or high intent lead, what types of content are being consumed before they actually convert, and is it these things? You could break it down however you like.
Yeah.
That's been useful for me to see. Okay, that content type is working, it's having an impact.
Super.
Which is great.
Good.
All right, well, I think we're there.
Yeah.
And in a few months we'll do our next year predictions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the time being, all three of those bets, those predictions, remain very central to what we're going to do, all continuously being refined and improved by the data and the analysis that we get back, but none have fallen completely out.
Not yet.
Compared to where we were at the end of last year.
Exactly. All right, awesome. Let's wrap it up there. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Demand Decoded, and we will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
See you.
Thanks for listening to the episode today. Before you head off, if AEO has been on your mind and you're not sure where to start, here's something worth doing right now. We're offering a full AI visibility analysis completely free. We'll look at how your brand is showing up across the major AI engines, what's influencing those results, how competitors compare, and what you should do about it. Then we'll walk you through all the findings on a call. Actual findings too, specific to your business with real next steps. Not a template, not a PDF, a proper analysis. You can request yours by clicking the link in the description below.